Thank you for the excuse to get up early. Normally when I wake up at 6, it's because a 3-year-old is standing at the foot of the bed saying, "Dad, where's my truck?" As Jason said, I'm on the Metro Parks Board. I've been on the board since 2010. And I actually will be on your ballot in November if you are a Tacoma resident, and I'm running unopposed, which means it's embarrassing if I lose. I'm here to talk today a little bit about, thank you, some of the biggest projects that Metro Parks has going on, including the largest single capital project in our system. And I'll step out of the way so you can see the screen. I think over the years, I came here about 5 years ago. I think Hunter George was here about 2 years ago. But I have some construction photos now to show you as well. So I'm going to walk you through this. Point Defiance is, of course, the 700-acre jewel at the north of Tacoma. There's about 3 million people a year that go there, between the zoo, the forest, Fort Nisqually, the beaches. And they come in all sorts of different ways: cars, bikes, on boat, and more. And what we want to do is we want to preserve the character of this park. Oops, a little too far. We know that this is the only old-growth forest left outside of the Olympics, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of that and we're preserving that forest experience for all of the hikers and walkers and joggers. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that people have asked for, and that's what we're working on the edges of the park and inside the zoo and things like that. We are keeping it open as we're doing all of these construction projects, which is quite a feat of engineering and planning because there's so many different things happening there. This is a really wonderful new building that opened inside the zoo. It's actually a high school. This is the new home for the Science and Math Institute, which is one of the school districts, I guess you'd call it like a magnet high school. This project is actually called the Environmental Learning Center because it's a shared building between the school district and Metro Parks and the zoo. And it works out really well. The school needs this during the day, during the school year. We need facilities at night, weekends, and in the summer. We are a perfect match to share one building between two organizations because we almost never need it at the same time. So this building will have, on weekends, opportunities for things happening at the zoo, environmental classes, our staff is here, the SAMI staff is here as well. And then in the week, during the school day, they open the closets, they wheel out computers, they wheel out their desks, and they've got a schoolroom. So it's a really innovative building that is a really good example of what happens when governments work together. It's also open as of 2 weeks ago, and it is quite beautiful. We're also working on this amazing aquarium. The North Pacific Aquarium, if you've been there recently, is more than 50 years old. Turns out you can't keep salt water in a concrete building that long. It's showing its age, and it needs to be replaced. Thanks to the voters in the 2014 bond, we're able to do that with the new Pacific Seas Aquarium. And this is going to transfer the species from that building. The building itself is fine, it'll be preserved, it's just the aquarium in the middle that needed to be replaced. And so at some point that will have some new exhibitry in it. But in the meantime, we have to get this building ready. This is a 32-foot curved window. It's got some plastic over the acrylic right now. But they've put it in, they've filled the building with water. And what it does, not the building, excuse me. The tank. The building's still dry. And it's going to give you an experience where you're going to be able to look out, up, down, and forward, and see a variety of different, what we're calling the Baja tanks. So this is the Sea of Baja. What we have here is hammerhead sharks, eagle rays, sea turtles, and Japanese spider crabs, which if you want to give yourself nightmares, Google. Because they can get to be 8 to 10 feet big. And we'll have at least 4 in this tank. So it's an incredibly new project for us. This is a new feature. It's not the same species that we have at the current North Pacific, although those will be preserved in other tanks here. If you don't know, the zoo and aquarium has a theme. It is themed around the Ring of Fire. So most of the species that we have at the zoo and in the aquarium are somewhere along the Pacific Rim. So you'll see Asian elephants instead of African elephants and things like that. So it's all around the Pacific. Outside of the zoo, of course, there's still a lot of things happening as well at the point. This is what they're calling Waterfront Phase 1. And I'm going to actually step over here and just point to some things. So just for orientation, this is Pearl Street where it comes up, and that's where you go into the park. This is the breakwater with the yacht club out at the end. And what we have here is 2 new areas that are going to open up to public access. This was primarily parking lots and portables for the Sammy High School. That's all going to be area that we can use for parking and maybe eventually something else someday. And then out here, we have this new park that is built on the slag of this old peninsula. And this is the first time it'll ever be open to the public. There's going to be a sloping, it's almost like an amphitheater effect, so you could even have like a small concert out there. Everyone put down their blankets, have a small concert. You'll have the pedestrian connection to the water walk out here, so you can get there very easily from that side. And you'll have sweeping views out of the rest of Commencement Bay. I think it's going to have, being out here will have the same feel as being on the central meadow of Chambers Bay. And you can see an artist rendering here of what that might look like when it's complete. It's amazing right now. We already do have grass around the yacht club, and if you've ever been there in the years before, it was previously like a moonscape, and it's really wonderful to see the grass coming as we're doing the work there. There's also going to be a pedestrian bridge. This is what we think of as a missing link between Ruston Way and the Point. It used to be very difficult to get between those. This will be an ADA grade, I think 16-foot wide trail that comes up off of Ruston Way, and it will cross a pedestrian bridge into Point Defiance. One of the things that we've heard out of those 3 million plus visitors that come to the park, most of them are coming on car, by car, and we're trying to give better ways for people to get there as pedestrians and bikers. So we are doing the work out there. They're putting the park together. This hillside is getting pulled back substantially to prevent the slides that used to happen in the wet months. And you can see the bridge right here as well that's going to open next year. The bridge, the park, the path, all of that will open at the same time, and probably early summer, sometime next year. This right here, if you're curious, is a new water management system that ties into the storm drains. A significant amount of Tacoma street runoff comes through these pipes right here, and this helps to filter it through some water naturally, through some plants and things naturally before it goes out into the bay. Here's another view of that bridge. I've been out there. It's amazing. You can see Mount Rainier. You have panoramic vistas on all different sides. I think this is going to be a really treasured spot in Tacoma. And then, of course, we have some fun things too. This is a staircase that goes from the bridge down to the waterfront area. You can see that the stairs alternate. Next to the stairs is going to be a series of slides. It was one of the most popular things that we had in our design was that the kids wanted to make this a little bit more fun, probably some of the adults too. And so we're going to have slides going down next to each of these staircases. They actually could put in the slides right now, but they think people would be too tempted to use them.
One slide or multiple?
It is unfortunately not one long slide. It turns out there is actually code that tells us we can't do that. So it will be a series of staggered slides just like the staircases. And then this is another view. You can see the grass out here that I was telling you about. And then the park that's underway out there. if you haven't been out there recently, this surface of where the parking lot is in the grass is substantially higher than it used to be. So if you ever used to come to the yacht club, you'd have to walk up those stairs. It's now at the same level as that door. So this is a fascinating project because we are doing this in partnership with the EPA. So a lot of this is involved in capping what formed this breakwater. And so the EPA is picking up a lot of the tab as they're doing this to protect the people who are going to use it on top. So some of this work is theirs, and then we came along and then implemented the project on their behalf while also doing the things that we wanted, like the park at the end.
Eric, all that rock is all new, isn't it? Around
this armoring is all new. And in fact, as a preview, I will tell you, over the next year, we're starting some work on Ruston Way in terms of planning for Ruston Way. And if you look out there and when you leave and you look at the armoring here, you'll start to see why we're going to need some new armoring along Ruston Way. Ruston Way is going on 40 years old. The armoring hasn't been replaced, and it's going to need this probably at some point all along Ruston Way to protect it. We're also redoing the entrance to Pearl Street. We got a transportation grant for this from the state or the feds, I can't remember which. But basically we're taking this, some people have said that the intersection here is the most dangerous intersection in Tacoma, and you know that because there's no accidents. Because everyone goes 5 miles an hour trying to figure out if someone else is coming. We're going to put in a roundabout here. This is going to make it a lot easier for the people coming off of the ferry. It's going to make it a lot easier for people who are going to, for example, the boat launch, because they're not going to have to cross over ferry traffic, if you're going downhill. So you'll be able to pull off for your boat, ferry, into the park, or you can go all the way around, and then we're going to turn that into a two-way, I think, and make it a little bit easier to get to the zoo. This should make it a lot easier to manage the traffic at this intersection. It will have a really moment when you arrive. It'll have this welcoming sign. You'll know you're there, and I think it'll be a really nice feature as people start to use it. As I said, there is so much happening here at Point Defiance that if you're regularly there and want to keep up with what might be closed for a week or something like that, I strongly recommend signing up for email updates, which you can do on our website, destinationpointdefiance.org. I also want to tell you about a very large project that we're working on the east side too. This is a new community center that we're building out of First Creek Middle School, and this is going to have a pool. It's going to have a lot of places for the kids in middle school right there. It's going to be a really important part of the East Side community. We're doing this in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, so they're going to help us operate it. They're raising money for an endowment that'll help fund some of the operations of it as well. So it's a really great public-private partnership. This is also thanks to not only Metro Parks, but the City of Tacoma has put in some money. Tacoma Housing Authority has been helpful. The school district gave the land. So it's a real community effort to make this happen. And you can see the pool that we're working on here. There's a pool on the east side right now at Galt that is going to close because it's going to be much nicer. And we're going to have a pool that right now we've been operating a pool at Peoples that just really increased usage there when we fixed it up. So we think that we'll see the same thing here. There's going to be a lot of different opportunities for laps, for recreation, and then there will be a vortex at the end, which again we also have at Peoples, and that's very popular. And you can see again that we've already started. Fitness center, swimming pool, social hall gym. We've been really talking to the kids about what they want, and what they wanted was a recording studio. So we're actually going to put in a recording studio here. We'll have a commercial kitchen that people, it is a recognized food desert. People can take classes on cooking. People can cook here. So it's really driven by the responses of what we heard from the community. And we do have a variety of ways that of course, you can help. Chipping volunteers help with invasive species and maintain their parks. We have advisory councils that advise the board on different issues, nature and environment, active living, business, things like that. We have different foundations that support us, and then other friends groups of our different parks. So with that, I would be happy to take any questions. And again, there's our moment on the bridge.